T-minus 50 seconds. T-minus 40 seconds. T-minus 30 seconds. T-minus 20 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Own it, own it, own it, Kong. I own it. It did.
Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet.
Hey y'all, welcome to Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. Welcome to WWT Live, WWET Live, wow. WWT Live, the Wednesday edition. Ooh, today has been quite the day. Anywho, we have a lot to talk about, and there's one discussion that I'm really particularly, I really want to get into, but you have to wait to the end of the show to get into all that stuff because some people out here fabricating some stuff, but we'll get into it. However, pulling double, triple, quadruple duty, we have Ella J in the building. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good, good. Can't complain. I am just glad I made it because I was concerned that it's like, I don't know what time I'm going to be home. But
she was revving that engine just to be here for our WWT Live. That's
Yes.
Dedication.
I consistency is the key. So I'm trying to, make it consistent. However, what do you got for us today?
I don't know if it's my internet freezing or hers.
Oh, well, I'm moving. I don't think you're moving.
Okay, we're back.
There we
I don't
go.
know. I don't know. But anyways, yeah, Becky Lynch provided an update on her injury, and she also revealed that she's working on a book. Obviously, Becky Lynch was sidelined after an injury following SummerSlam with Bianca Belair, where she separated her shoulder. She spent the next 2 days later on Raw revealing that she had an injury, which would require surgery, I believe, and that she would be on her way to rehabbing it and hopefully expected to be back in a few months. But obviously, she was written off of television after a backstage assault from Dakota Kai, Bailey, and Io Sky. But she recently did an Instagram live with former WWE head writer Brian Guritz, along with The Rock and Seth Rollins as well, who was there. And she revealed that she's going to be writing her own book and spending her time away to focus on that more. And she said, and I quote, "I'm still writing mine, and I'm really happy that when mine comes out, at least it won't be in a direct competition with yours," which talking about Brian was promoting his new book coming out as well. And then The Rock kind of asked her when it'll be done, and she said hopefully in the next couple of months. Now that I got a bad wing, meaning her shoulder, I got a little bit more time to dedicate to it. So she kind of dropped news that she was going to be writing her own book. And I mean, speaking of injury, she did provide kind of an injury update and how rehab is going. And she's hopeful that she won't be out of action for too long. She said, and I quote, "I feel like I've gotten a bit more mobility in it because when it happened, it was so painful that I was like, oh no, I'm going to be out for a long, long time. But now it's healing up really quick. I'm feeling strong. I'm feeling good. So I'm hoping it won't be much time at all." So things look positive for Becky Lynch. Maybe she won't be out as long as maybe she thinks. Maybe she'll be back in the next couple of months. But again, injuries are kind of dependent on all of that. But it is some double good news from Becky Lynch. One, she seems to be on the track to good recovery, and she's going to be writing a book that's definitely going to be very, very interesting.
Here's the thing. And we don't want to do too much speculation, but the fact that The Rock was in the live and he's already did Paige's story, and he has a whole production company. I mean, and I definitely could see, like, I mean, I'm sure we only gotten like 15% of the Becky Lynch story.
Yeah.
Like, there's probably so much more that could be added. And then you add the fact that she now has a baby and all that stuff. Like, there's just so much to the story. I wonder if that's going to be in the works after the book drops.
I mean, I know Brian, who was leading the live, is very good friends with The Rock, so that's why The Rock was there. Again, I didn't see the whole thing to see how Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins were brought into the mix with all of that, they just requested or if it was just planned. But yeah, Becky Lynch's story is really interesting too. I mean, she started out like as a late teen, early 20s in like 2005, 2006 before she took a break from wrestling for a good like 6 years, I want to say, before
like
coming
a flight
back.
attendant.
Yeah, to join NXT. Then she came back. So like even that just time period alone, her starting off really, really young in wrestling, taking that break, what that time period was like for her, and then coming to WWE and her transformation from this like leprechaun to the last kicker to the man to now big time Bex. Yeah, I mean, that book is definitely going. I mean, and she's a mom now. That book is definitely going to be really interesting. Maybe I hadn't even thought about The Rock possibly having some involvement into maybe a movie. Who knows? I think her life definitely could be made into one, though.
Yeah, because God, I'm sure you get this too, Ella. Like, I can't remember who I was interviewing, but they were saying that like with book sales, when you drop a book, like it's good to get like a couple thousand sold or whatever. Like people are just not reading, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So, it makes sense to, obviously do audio. Audio is everything. But then it makes sense to turn it into something, especially if the fact that you WWE and WWE has their own production company. However, we already know with The Rock's production company, whatever he does, even though, and I love me some Rock, even though sometimes it's not as the greatest, people are still going to watch. So yeah, there's that. But we try not to get too far ahead of ourselves. I shouldn't say we. I'm going to say me. Because I'm always thinking of, and Cain's in the chat says $7. Yeah, $7 production. I'm always thinking 10 steps ahead. Like what's happening in January of 2023? That's where my head is at right now. So, we'll see what happens. But what else do you have for us? You did an interview for us like less than 2 hours ago. How was that?
Yeah, I mean, we just got off like maybe an hour and a half ago with Maserati, former FSW women's champion, the female with attitude. She was absolutely fantastic. That was actually my first ever like live official interview. So that was a lot of fun. She was great. We talked a lot about like her stunt work outside of professional wrestling. We talked about reggae music, talked a little bit about her like favorite opponents and stuff like that. So I think it was a really insightful conversation.
Yeah, she was awesome. And I just always love hearing, this is my first thing doing whatever with women's wrestling talk. Like, I just like, for lack of a better word, popping y'all's cherry. Like, oh no, we just gonna do this. So I appreciate you for doing that. It is a really great interview. You can check it out on all social media platforms. It's on YouTube right now. You can check it out on Spotify. You can check it out on any podcast stuff. It's on Twitch still. It's on Facebook, so it's everywhere. So definitely check out that interview because it's leading up to an event that we partnered with, which is Black Girl Magic, coming up this weekend. So definitely check all that out as well.
Yes, it's gonna be a fun weekend for Black Girl Magic too.
Oh my gosh, that weekend's gonna be crazy because I think they have the Jobber Tears event coming up as well. But are you staying with us? That's another question because I know you have some other things.
Oh yes, I'm staying.
We have a lot to talk about, but we are going to add. We're going to add Mr. Bonner.
What's up, guys? Building. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good. Ella J, always great to see you.
Always great to see you. I'm always here at the right times. I feel like we'll get into that a bit later.
Yes, indeed, we will. Just, it's your way.
You all will understand, yes. So what do you have for us today?
Well, last night, NXT brought us their latest, seemingly gone are the days of NXT TakeOver, though that too might change. But they did have a live special called NXT Heat Wave, which is kind of like a takeover of sorts, aired last night live on the USA Network. Couple of major things. Of course, Carmelo Hayes retained the North American Championship against Giovanni Vinci. And I just have to tell you, that match was bananas. It was crazy. That Carmelo Hayes is special. And I don't know if people are really acknowledging just how special he is. But I look at it this way. In this new era of NXT 2.0, he really is the shining star out of that. I know Bron Breakker is your NXT champion, but no, we tune in to see Carmelo Hayes for matches like what he gave us last night with Giovanni Vinci. So he retains the North American Championship. Cora Jade and Roxanne Perez had an amazing match last night. Cora Jade won that one, and I think we're starting to understand the generation of Jade at this point. Street fight took place with Tony D'Angelo against Santos Escobar. The whole concept here is if D'Angelo won, Santos Escobar would leave NXT. If Escobar wins, then Legado del Fantasma would be free from Tony D'Angelo's family. And it just went down that Tony D'Angelo wins. Santos Escobar is gone from NXT. And admittedly, I think we got a bit of a sneak peek of that when he randomly showed up Thursday night at the WrestleMania launch party, potentially talking about him and Legado potentially being a part of this year's WrestleMania. Maybe that was a spoiler. I don't know. But either way, Santos' time in NXT is done, which, I mean, I could easily see him on Raw or SmackDown at any given moment. Mandy Rose defended the Women's Championship against Zoe Stark, and she successfully retained in another great match. I know there's been rumors about Mandy wanting to go up to the main roster, but what she's doing in NXT is easily the best work of her career. I think she should continue and finish that out really, really strong and make some more history. So things ended with Bron Breakker defeating JD McDonough, which is still hard to say that. He's Jordan Devlin to me forever and ever. Breakker wins the champion or retains the championship, but woven throughout this entire story was the continued presence of NXT UK, which I thought was very interesting. Gallus interrupting this whole situation that happened with the Diamond Mine. Then you have Blair Davenport in the background just doing some things during a backstage interview. And then Tyler Bate comes out, who apparently he's the NXT UK champion. And I say apparently because on NXT UK, there's still a tournament happening. So kind of weird and wild and woolly how they pulled that off. Either way, the idea that the NXT UK champ is standing in the ring with the NXT champ has lended itself to a lot of questions. Are we seeing a potential merger between NXT UK and NXT, or did we get an indicator from what Vic Joseph told us at the end saying when worlds collide? Now, Worlds Collide was an original pay-per-view that the two had done back before the pandemic, right in January of 2020, where it was NXT UK versus NXT. It was some crazy matches that happened. The main event of that was a four-man Imperium defeating, ironically, a four-man Undisputed Era. It was crazy. It was nuts. If we're going back to the days of NXT UK versus NXT, I think we're on to something really, really special. So all of that happened last night on NXT Heat Wave, and I think it was a great show.
Ooh, you just summed it all up. Why even watch the show? Thank you.
I mean, you want to watch the matches. I mean, it's great, but watch it all unfold and, that type of thing.
Yeah, like I say, every show, and I'll probably be saying this until the end of the year, we'll see what happens. Like TakeOver was always great, but they've changed it. However, the person who created it is now back. And, I hate the fact that it's seemingly like with NXT UK, it seems like the redheaded stepchild. So I like the fact that they're actually acknowledging it. And then with Mandy, if she keeps the same Mandy we see in NXT to the main roster, that will be magic when it's ready. But if they, again, we don't we're hoping that's a new, change of guard and it's gonna be different. But she comes back for them to change her to what they think they should, what they think she should be. It's not gonna work because this version of her way better than that slow porn music thing that they were doing when she was on the main roster.
Yeah. Plus, I really think, call me crazy, but I think when she goes, she needs to take Toxic Attraction with her. Yes. I just think that they add something to her, and they make her, I think, even tougher than she would be on her own. Because she's got these two tough girls with her and she's running the show. Nobody is battling her for the top of Toxic Attraction. They all respect her as the leader. I think she comes in with those two, and we've got a situation on our hands, either on Raw or SmackDown.
Mm-hmm. Who doesn't like a good faction? I love me a good faction.
They're great faction. And we've never really had enough of them on the female side in WWE, and it's not enough to just have two.
Mm-hmm.
They need some more. So
I mean, main roster, we got Bayley, Io, Dakota, but we've also seemingly got Bianca, Alexa, and Asuka.
Correct.
Which is still weird.
It is still weird.
Both of those, and hear me out, it's not a racial thing.
Mm-hmm.
Those just don't make sense. So with Toxic Attraction, like if they go together to the main roster, that makes sense. It just seems like, you just threw some people together and it's like, oh, we're, a team or a faction now, where it's just like, like you see how they do certain stuff on behind the scenes or on social media. So you know who their friends are, who they're doing the TikTok dances with. Like that should be the natural progression. And like I've always said, not everybody could be LeBron James. And I think some people need to have those conversations. Like, look, you might not be the top of the top, but you being a part of a faction, you're gonna get that t-shirt money. You're gonna still get some matches. You might not get, you may or may not get a championship, but I'll take being part of a faction any day than being a mid card.
Right.
So they need to make it make sense. Shout out to JD in the chat and also the Shadow Wrangler in the chat for joining us. Next up, just perfect timing.
Yeah. So I believe this is the Hall of Famer story. Is that correct? Or is this a different story?
You know what? Yes, we can go with that one because that's definitely up your alley too. Yeah, let's talk about it.
Okay, so let's talk about this. So I'm sure JD's going to have a whole lot to say about this. So, for the last couple of weeks, we've been talking about Ric Flair and his last match and whether it really was his last match or not. So now there's an interesting detail that's coming out that's making me wonder who's zooming who at this point. So apparently Conrad Thompson did not just have a conversation with Ric Flair about Flair's last match. Apparently this is part of a larger master plan. Such a master plan included him apparently approaching Diamond Dallas Page and asking DDP if he wanted to have a similar last match kind of event. Now, DDP told him absolutely not. He'll never do it. He said he's already had his last match and it's never going to be any better than that. So he was good with it. But it doesn't stop there because apparently Conrad Thompson also approached Mick Foley and he approached Booker T, both about this same concept. Both of them declined. Now, when Booker T went to talk about it, he talked about it on his podcast, and he said that, if his brother Stevie Ray wanted to do a last match for StarCast, he'd sit there in the front row. But he said if it's going to be something with Harlem Heat, in his words, quote, you guys won't see Harlem Heat ever again in the ring together. It's over. It's done. He even said that talking about it triggered some emotions that doesn't make him feel good about ever doing anything connected to Harlem Heat. So now I'm wondering, Conrad Thompson, what's going on here? This isn't just about Flair. You're trying to monopolize this concept of a last match because obviously he saw it was financially successful for Ric Flair. Thankfully, and I've got nothing against any of those 3 wrestlers because I think they're all great, but they were all aware enough to be able to say, no, I'm done. I'm good. But yeah, so now I'm wondering, is Conrad, who's Flair's son-in-law, kind of pumping his dad up, saying, hey, you got one more in you. Come on. You got one more in you.
It's funny with Booker T though, because he was just, I mean, it was a 10-man tag team match recently this year for his own promotion. And 10-man, a tag team match is way different than
a solo
a one-on-one, a solo one. But it's interesting that he would say that. But anybody have the tea on the Harlem Heat? Like, because that's his brother.
Well, they have not had the best relationship over time. Obviously, when they were in the business for a while, they were good, but apparently there had been some jealousy that had happened there, and it ran kind of deep. So, as a matter of fact, if you remember, Booker actually, when Harlem Heat was inducted, he was able to be there with Stevie Ray, but that was one of the few times that they'd actually been together in recent memory because there just was some bad blood. So, yeah, I don't think he wants to do anything with his brother in a wrestling ring again.
Damn.
Yeah, it's pretty serious.
Ella?
Pretty serious. Damn. Yeah. Wasn't Flair also proposed to wrestle in Mexico too? But he turned it down because he didn't want to go against that. He had already said that he was having his last match.
Yeah, it was that thing in Puerto Rico that he did a couple of weeks ago. They wanted him to actually get in the ring. So instead of getting in the ring, he just decided to have a scuffle outside of the ring. Now Flair's actually
technically he's not getting in the ring, so
technically it's not. But he then went on his own podcast and said that he regretted actually saying that this was going to be his last match because, he felt like the only reason that the last match didn't go as well as it could have was because of the dehydration. Yeah. So, which is a thing. I mean, sir, but you're 73, right? So I won't get off on a tirade on Ric Flair. I'll just say, I hope, it's not just, I mean, it was a big show, right? It was a very big indie show. The only one that was bigger was All Out. So there's a lot to be said for that. But just because it grossed well then doesn't mean we can turn around and do another Ric Flair's last match and expect the same kind of results. No. I think the idea that it worked is because people actually thought it was going to be the last one. So
didn't he sign a contract? I'm pretty sure he signed a contract too.
With
that
who?
It was going to be his last one or some legal thing.
If he signed it with his son-in-law, I mean, think about this. If he managed to have another match after WrestleMania 24, which seemed like, okay, you'd have to be done after that.
Yeah.
Then I don't think there's going to be any sort of contract that's going to be more binding than potentially that one.
Yeah.
And I feel like we have this box on the show where we can't go down the rabbit hole anymore. So I think
we're going to start putting that one there.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
Ric Flair. And
we're going to retire him because he won't.
Yeah. We're going to retire that in the box along with Sasha and Naomi. We won't go down those rabbit holes because we can have a discussion about that literally for this whole show. So we'll move on because clearly Rick doesn't want to. Now we're going to talk about. Actually, let's bring on this gentleman here, the WWE card holder himself, Cain McCoy.
And the recently healed.
Yes. My bronchial plexus injury is all healed. Whatever riddle has, I have solved the riddle and have been healed. Do you know what I used to pay for to heal all of my injuries? With my bronchial plexus, what I paid for, what I used? I used my veterans insurance because I'm a Navy veteran. But the gas that I paid for to get to the VA, I paid for with my WWE Superstar credit card. I think it has a negative balance by now because I didn't put the credit protection on there. So I've just been spinning and spinning. But you know what? It's all going down tonight, like my credit score. AEW, Dynamite. We're going to see Miro on there. And it's like, if we're going to see Miro, will we see finally the return of Lana, aka CJ Perry? That her government name. That's what everybody call her. Because we saw last week Miro is currently in the midst of a transition with his eyeballs. You know, he caught the mist, and Miro's been trying to redeem himself from losing TNT titles to winning titles to losing matches to trying to make this big comeback. And we saw him in the shadowy depths. I guess he was in the Mick Foley Mankind boiler room last week doing a promo, and you really couldn't see his face shine. And it's like, what's going on with his eye? And then from nowhere, out the cut, here comes Julia Hart. I guess maybe she came from trying to explain to creative when they're going to address the split with Varsity Blondes. I'm not really sure. But she came and touching Miro. Miro's like, get your dirty hands off of me, shawty. The Redeemer is a married man. He is redeemed in the ring as well as in these streets, for he is married to CJ Perry, which led to an interesting tweet from CJ Perry, who tweeted about it because celebrities, they watch wrestling just like us. And she talked about Julia Hart and how she even expounded upon that on Busted Open Radio, that she wants to, quote, drop kick Julia Hart in the face. She spoke on Busted Open Radio with Dave LaGreca, Mickie James, and Tommy Dreamer, including that, you know, she showed up and tried to seduce her husband, and, you know, he's an AEW crushing it, and she doesn't need that to happen. So she might pull up, which I thought the funniest thing on top of that was, if you got the screenshot, TK, Julia Hart, with being petty as hell, followed Lana on Twitter. You know, just to be like petty wop, Petty Pendergrass, if you would. So hopefully this can lead to something. We've seen Julia Perry. Julia Perry. That's when she marries Jungle Boy. Julia Hart, kind of just floating around. She was on the Varsity Blondes thing, got spit in the eye, and the turn happened. It was teased, but remember, she never really attacked Varsity Blondes, and then she showed up at the pay-per-view and just was now with House of Black. But they kind of need to address that. We never really seen her turn on Varsity Blondes. I would like to kind of see that addressed. But with that, if she could kind of have a dope angle with her and CJ, like Miro and CJ versus House of Black, and does Miro turn to House of Black? Because in the meanwhile, we got Sting, whose face is also affected with the mist and or monkeypox. Who knows what it could be? But you know, so we're gonna see what goes down, and maybe we might see CJ Perry and Miro together in AEW, which I'm all for, because Miro kind of needs a little jolt in the gimmick as well. So he kind of came in as the best man with Kip Sabian. Was it Kip Sabian?
Yes, it was.
Where the hell is Kip Sabian? Is he still in the crowd with bags over his face?
Yes.
Take off the bag, Kip. We need you back on TV. You and Penelope Ford. God. So long honeymoon now. But we saw him as the best man, and he came with that. And now he's the Redeemer. And we kind of need something, especially with him liking the tweets of him possibly jumping shit. So I think a little boost in the gimmick would definitely help my guy Miro, who I'm sure is watching on Twitch, because he loves Twitch.
And it'd be interesting to see the version of CJ that we get, because she can't, but it would make no sense because Miro is now Miro. So she doesn't do a Lana thing. I'm interested to see, because she was, I mean, if you harken back to Total Divas, she was not, it wasn't like she didn't have enough ideas. She has ideas for days. So I would be curious to see how they let her play that out. And I think that would be the only condition for her coming back, maybe part-time or whatever, that she's able to create whatever character she decides.
Yeah, it could be worldwide. I mean, Lana and Rusev were Russian. Well, they were Bulgarian and then Russian, and now they're Bulgarian again. And I think the real CJ Perry was like raised in Latvia. So they just got a whole Eastern Bloc swag going on. Who has more multiple identities and ethnicities? I know what I said. Drake or CJ Perry and Miro? Like, who has more of an accent? Like, who just do different accents at all times? Because, you know, Drake is like every nationality out there. Let's maybe Miro.
Really, we're gonna talk about that. We'll get to this comment first before I educate you a little bit. So I feel like CJ doesn't want to be in wrestling anymore. She could be in any promotion with one phone call. So I can only assume that she's doing other things. I don't know if she could be in any promotion with one phone call. Yeah, I don't think that's necessarily the case. She is doing other things, but look, I think all of us here, we don't turn down money or jobs. So if it makes sense, multiple streams of income, that's the American way, unfortunately. And like if she does a stint in AEW with her husband, I mean, take the money.
I think that makes the most sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, take the money because you don't want to end up like CJ Perry doesn't want to end up like the homeless people she tweets about, right? Or too soon.
What was the tweet you did mention in the?
I saw it trending too, but I still don't know what it was about.
Yeah, well, somebody had tweeted her about homelessness, and then she tweeted, "At least you have a device or something."
Oh yeah.
So basically, implying that you shouldn't be homeless if you have an iPhone, even though he could have used like a T9Twitter.com type of thing. So everyone's kind of harking on her, and then she's been defending herself. But I do admit she did have a tweet today that was almost like an Alana character, but I don't know if it was legit or not. But it was a tweet from the she hit the old notes post, the old notes post tweet, and she was just talking about how she was growing up in an Eastern European country, and people were throwing shoes at her and whatnot. So we're about to have it up here on the screen. But I read it and I was like, is she speaking as Lana or is she in Canada?
Oh, I did see this.
Yeah, well, she's from Florida, but I think she was like raised in Latvia with like Kristaps Porzingis or something, or like
and she's like a dancer or something like that. She has like a really great story. The WWE 20, I think it's the 24/7 or whatever. That was a really great thing. But I can't remember what her.
Yeah, but like anytime you get to hit the Notes app apology, you probably got ratioed to oblivion, so you just kind of got to do everything. So if she hurries up quick, people will forget about it. They just say, "Oh, okay, she was probably just getting heat for tonight," I guess, even though she might be the face in this situation. But you know, maybe she'll show up with a homeless person and give him a hug on TV, on basic cable. So you know, all would be forgotten about. You know, she'll no, not the
Yes.
So we have the Shadow Wrangler asking, really, other than WWE, who wouldn't want to bring her on? So here's the thing. What I meant by that comment is, if she made the calls, then people would bring her on because she's a former WWE superstar. But I just don't think people are making calls to her per se. One, because she's a WWE superstar, so that is money. Because you now like that, you can't pay them the same amount. It doesn't make any sense. Yeah. You're paying for the cachet. So there's that. And then two, it doesn't seem like she wants to do the indie circuit is tough. Like
tough compared to WWE for sure.
Right. Well, WWE is tough too. Like I think the AEW schedule and the Impact schedule is probably the best schedule as far as promotion wise. But like, who wants to continuously book things and travel and navigate and do all this other stuff when I'm willing to bet she's making coin off of TikTok, which she can do from home.
She's on TikTok?
Yeah, she's on TikTok. She's been on TikTok. She's making coin off of she's making coin off of all social media platforms. She's probably doing auditions. Like to schedule all that in an indie space, it doesn't make sense. And I think a lot of people, because we all see that, a lot of people are seeing that, so they're probably not calling her to say, "Hey, can you do this promotion in Midwest Arkansas?" Like, I just don't see that happening. So an AEW per se would make sense. An Impact would kind of make sense. However, I don't see her doing a long-term stint. I see her doing. I'll do a storyline. And then I'm out. Plus, we already know she gets a movie deal. She's deuces for sure. So that's what I meant by that thing. And we'll get to the Drake thing, but I'll let Ella and Gerard talk about a little bit more about CJ.
I ain't got nothing. I think AEW is like the most likely for her. It would make sense. She's Miro's real life husband. It'd be interesting to see them trying to book her as a babyface with all this backlash on social media. Which I think the fans might naturally just turn on her right away. And does that make Julia the face? I think it would. I think the fans would be cheering for Julia in that situation.
Yeah.
Which I
really hope she debuts tonight. Yeah. Just for that. Just for that reason. Just have her debut. It's the House of Dragon thing they're doing. Just set it on fire. Just set the gimmick on fire already and let the fans take it over. Because is Miro even a face, though? Or people just like Miro's horn at the beginning and they cheer for him? For his theme music?
I don't know, to be honest. I think he's just like an edgy heel that people cheer. Like,
Yeah.
but I don't know for sure, to be honest. He kind of tiptoes that line.
He's just the redeemer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then,
what will hopefully can redeem this backlash against CJ, because sheesh.
So we have Nikki in the chat. Chelsea isn't even on Impact contract. They're not signing CJ. She can't wrestle. That's Nikki.
Well, she'll probably be bought in to manage. Bobby, what
dropped in the chat. Yeah, I mean, we don't know, because remember, she was really pushing for wrestling towards the end of her, before Miro left. She was really pushing to wrestle.
Wasn't she in that tag team with Naomi?
Yeah, that was. I mean,
her and Naomi were like teaming up, right? When it was like La Naomi. I called him one name, La Naomi. Just one name. Just come on. La Naomi.
You got two of them tonight, Cain. One more strike, and he's booting you out of here.
He got like 10 on Monday, so
he did.
It's like 17 points on Scramble. It's like 17 points on Scramble. La Naomi. Two things that would never go away: Ric Flair wrestling and my womp womps. Clearly.
Yeah.
Goodness. Now to Drake and his many accents. First off, in Toronto, and I'll make this very quick. In Toronto, Drake grew up with a lot of Black folks, and a lot of Black folks in Toronto are of West Indian descent. So it's very hard. Like, if you talk to me in my early years, mid high school and lower, I had a Jamaican accent for no reason whatsoever, other than my friend was Jamaican, and all the people in our building were like, most of them are Jamaican. So, and then once you get an accent you pick up accents from different countries. It's kind of like a blend of that, and then you add the Canadian on top of it. That's why when you hear a lot of the Drake talkovers in his albums, that's what you're hearing. It's not necessarily a fake West Indian accent. It's actually it's like a mashup of Caribbean and Canadian all together. Because if you go to New York, the Caribbeans that with the American accent, that's a whole nother beast. So.
Hey, yo, B, let me get some jerk chicken, B. Let me get some jerk chicken, B. Word up. That's how they big shouts to the Dua Lipa app. You can learn languages on there. Dua Lipa app.
Duolingo, you mean? Duolingo?
Yeah, that one too. That one too. It's all of them. Duolingo, Dua Lipa. Speak the language.
So we're gonna get to this lady. She is a friend of the show and best friends with Ella J. I swear, I think it was last week where we said that she said there's nothing for her to do, but this week, what's going on, Ella?
I don't know. I was just as surprised as you guys were. Mickie James returns to the Lone Star Stampede tapings on August 26th and August 27th. She obviously has some announcements she'll be making. The last time we saw her on TV was July 14th, where she got sent home by Chelsea Green. Yes, you will know, and I know Nikki will be there in person, so they'll get the exclusive on that. I don't know. I think it's a swerve, personally. I think it's gonna be like, you thought you'd seen the last of me. I don't know. We'll see.
That's what I'm hoping for.
That's it.
I mean, we just stand. I mean, ... ellipses. Listen, Mickie James from the great Commonwealth of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia, to be exact. 2 up, 2 down out here. Mickie, I mean, this year has been amazing for her to show up at the Royal Rumble as Impact Knockouts champion. I mean, we thought she was going to drop and then show up and just sign a WWE. But no, she's loyal to the soil. She's putting Impact Wrestling on her back as a whole, not even just the Knockouts division. So I think with this, it's like, if you aren't going to go out then you definitely ain't going to go out now. So I think this will be her kind of like getting like a repush and kind of becoming that gal. Maybe turning heel and kind of being like, y'all must have forgot who I am. You know what I mean? And getting another run towards the Knockouts championship.
She's not going to go out on television tapings. That's all I'm saying. Like I honestly don't think, I know what people are speculating, and it would make sense that they're promoting this announcement. Oh, she's retiring, but it's, first of all, it's just television taping. If she's gonna go out, she's gonna go out at like the biggest pay-per-view in Impact, which is BFG,
pay-per-view.
which is coming up
BFG.
in
Correct.
October. So I don't foresee her announcing that on a future episode of Impact Wrestling on Access. If anything, it would be on a pay-per-view or main stage, which technically she isn't even contracted to Impact Wrestling. She's also like a Chelsea Green, where she's a free agent. So I mean, she could also retire wherever the heck she wants. She could go back to NWA. She could end up back in WWE. I mean, it's really up to her. But I mean, she even just said in an interview this week, she doesn't know what's next for her. She thinks she'll be involved in wrestling like the rest of her life. So, I mean, we'll have to tune in. Obviously, Nikki is going to be there and will give us the exclusive on the announcement. But I know a lot of people are expecting a retirement, but not at a television taping.
Yeah. Hey, Jordan Grace. Watch your back, Jordan Grace. Watch your back, shouty. That's what I'm saying.
So we have Nikki in the chat thinking it's a retirement announcement. She will be there. Nikki will be there at the taping, so she'll get some exclusives. And she also said that maybe she'll be taken out by Killer Kelly. So there's a lot of possible things that Nikki has these, these ideas, and she will also be there to see if any of these ideas can come to fruition. So we'll see with all of that. And Nikki also says Jordan needs to focus on Masha. So I believe
Deanna and Masha are wrestling each other at the Stadium Stampede tapings too. They did that. So that's an interesting choice. I'm excited for Killer Kelly. I could see Killer Kelly attacking Mickie James maybe, but I feel like, I don't know, maybe the closure isn't still there between Chelsea and Mickie. I don't know.
You actually said some interesting things, Ella, which I really want to just kind of go into this story. So you said that both Chelsea and Mickie they're not contracted to Impact. They're free agents. And I'll let you start off and we can all chime in on this story. But, Billy Corgan is saying that essentially, there's not enough free agents to have an Empower. And both Ella and I were at Empower last year, which seems like a lifetime ago. And it was an amazing event. But, I'll let you, finish up the story and let us know why there will not be an Empower 2 this year.
I think my screen's about to freeze again in a couple seconds because it's been doing this every 10 minutes. So bear with me. Yeah, I mean, Billy Corgan was basically saying that there isn't enough television level talent in order to have Empowered this year. He hopes to have it again in the future. And it was successful last year, but apparently there isn't enough television ready female free agents out there today, which I mean, I went off and listed a whole bunch though as examples on Twitter. But I digress.
Let me find the tweet then. We're gonna do the tweet. But continue, Ella.
I mean, that's pretty much all there is to it. He hopes to do it again in the future, but apparently there's not enough female free agents that are television level ready right now.
I mean, what does that even mean? Like, what? Because pretty much everybody's wrestling on some form of media, whether it's network, whether it's cable, whether it's streaming, which is where we catch all of NWA's programming. What was the difference between that and some of the wrestlers last year who a lot of us saw for the first time at Empower? Like.
Well, what's also interesting is last year, that they had the NWA Women's Tag Team Title Tournament. And in that tournament, you had representation from Impact, representation from AEW, and from other spaces. And so, we've talked before about the Forbidden Door and all of those types of things. There is plenty of talent.
There's more tweets, TK.
There's so many.
There's more.
There we go.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And more.
Somebody pulled the receipts.
Let them know. But here's what's interesting about this. Like, I find it so crazy to make the stick. Like, I would rather, let's just be truthful, right? Just say that perhaps you're not committed to it this year, or you weren't able to gather enough talent to do it this year. But to say that there isn't enough television ready talent is quite frankly insulting to women's wrestling. Let's just call it a spade a spade. You know, I'm working in 3 different independent promotions right now who are all using different women who are all operating at top level talent. Okay. If either he's not aware of it or if he is not sending out the right people to do it, that's on him.
Check on it.
But it's not that the talent isn't there. There are a ton. I mean, there's going to be Black Girl Magic this weekend, right? Like, there's plenty of things that are happening with, and let me say this carefully now. TV level talent. This is the NWA, who currently does not have a television deal. You are operating on streaming services. And it's not a knock to streaming services, but you can't make the excuse that you don't have TV ready women when you don't have a TV deal.
And if looking at this from Ella, there are at least 15 women who have been on WWE and AEW, which, like you were saying, that's TV and
yes.
Oh, and there's plenty more. But I just find it interesting that today he corrected himself when this interview was released. Last week on Digital Spy, he said, and I quote, there aren't enough female talent in professional wrestling at this time. This week, he corrected himself and said that there aren't enough female talent at the TV level. So I don't know if he only corrected himself after he realized what he had said otherwise, but he corrected himself this week and said that there isn't enough at the TV level, which I found interesting to see.
Hey, Billy Corgan, listen. Make music, make matches, don't make excuses, okay, pal? We want to see this happen. We want to see this go down. It's kind of been like the good and bad thing about Billy Corgan. We kind of saw this kind of attitude a little bit towards the end of his run in TNA a little bit. And so kind of like he would do like really good stuff and then kind of do some, what are you really in this for? You claim you love the business. You claim you were passionate. You claim you have all of this. But is this the money grab or what you going on? Like what's doing? Because there's really no difference in the availability of the women wrestlers from last year than it is this year. Why can't you negotiate the same deals as last? It's more questions than answers than we have, like what we're getting. You know what I mean? You think about the people who was on the card last year, like. I don't think Sky Blue was on TV like that last year. Like
the
that
only contracted talent that were on last year's show that are contracted today are Deonna Purrazzo and Red Velvet.
And that's it, right?
Two other promotions besides NWA, I should say. Deonna Purrazzo and Red Velvet.
Layla Hirsch is injured. I think she fought
Layla Hirsch too, and Diamante. So 4 competitors out of how many?
But is Deonna exclusive to Impact?
It seems that they have a good relationship with Impact too, which makes it even more baffling. I mean, they have enough talent in NWA itself to even just run the Invitational itself, but they seem to have a good relationship with Impact, even if AEW is up in the air. So, and like I said, like I listed, there's a bunch of free agent television ready talent out there that have experience. There's at least 30 of them that I named, and there's a bunch more.
And here's the participants that were used. Cain sent this over according to Wikipedia. I think there was a little bit more, but I mean, you know, Bianca's with WWE, but Genocide. Like Kira, I know for sure she could be used. Lady Frost is not with anybody at the moment. So
Kylan King is not contracted with anybody right now. Taya Valkyrie is not. Taya's competing against Camille at NWA 74. She's not contracted. Chelsea Green is not contracted. There's literally so many. Like,
it's a little more information.
The most obvious one is the person who actually helped to plan the event. She's not contracted. She's a free agent. So there and you know,
I mean, obviously, in
We
place
can
of
all
what
speculate, like
Yeah.
something.
What if
happened.
that's the announcement that Mickey's gonna give? I know Empower was about this time last year, so obviously
same
it'll be
weekend.
later.
Mhm.
Yeah, that same weekend. So who knows if maybe she'll make an announcement about that, even though that's
What
kind of
about
like
an
wishful
Empower
thinking.
show?
Yeah, about something like
No,
that,
because
but
Mickey started. When did we do that interview with Mickey? That was in
That was the end of
late
July,
Ju-
but Mickie started planning this in June.
Yeah,
last
like
year.
she
So
started
she had
doing
3
promo
months.
a while. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's not, and it's very clear because I don't know if we asked her during the show, and I can't. Jesus, so many interviews, but I can't remember if we asked her during the show or in the midst of it. But she said she wasn't involved, and that was when we interviewed her. That was earlier this year, so something had transpired that you know. But the thing is, if you know that people are going to ask you about this, then you should have a better answer because you're gonna have somebody like Ella J sending you 10 tweets of people that you could have booked. So
she gonna pull your car, Billy Corrigan.
with the receipts.
Yeah.
She might mess around, smash a pumpkin on your face.
It's just
Smash.
no, I actually don't
Hit it.
want that one. I actually like that one.
Okay.
But
well,
it's just
well,
disappointing to say the least. It's just the potential that we could have had in some of the plans that I heard that were in the early stages before it was like it's not happening. What could have been? It what could have been.
Well, the good news is that we have a lot of other promotions. We have Wrestling Army, and we have other. It seems we'll see what AEW does with Madison Rain over there now. I mean, Impact has always been killing it. WoW is coming on CBS,
Yeah.
so it's just kind of like it's kind of the equivalent. And I don't know, I'm really terrible with analogies, but I like shooting them anyway. The equivalent is like if you're dating somebody and then that person doesn't see your worth, then you're going to just go somewhere else where that person treats you like a king or a queen. So it's like we can't fit like that. The event that happened last year was amazing. I personally, because I went to both of them, both days, that the Empower was beyond better than the pay-per-view that happened on Sunday. Like that's just what it was. So if you don't see the value in women's wrestling, or you had a full year to plan it, whether Mickie was involved or not, then we can't force him to do anything with that. It's kind of the same thing as Mae Young Classic. It's we've seen other promotions try and just say, oh well, the numbers are not there. That's just that's incorrect. There's a lot of women wrestling plans, and there's also a lot of fans of women's wrestling who aren't women. Like the demographic of people who watch women's wrestling talk is 80% men. And that's just watching us talk about women's wrestling. So you can't make it make sense.
Yeah. Next in Power, we're gonna have TK and LJ team up to fight.
I'm down.
Women's
doing
wrestling
what?
bloggers.
No.
To take
I
on
don't fight.
the
I don't fight people.
intergender wrestling blogger matches. I'll watch it.
No.
G will commentate.
Me a lot of money to do anything.
I'll just be
that.
there. We can make it happen. And tonight is Wednesday, y'all. So you know what that means. AEW Dynamite, as people born in the 70s or womps like me will say. Hey, big things tonight. Speaking of Kylan King, she's gonna take on Toni Storm tonight. That's gonna be a good matchup. Plus, we got the Trios Championship Tournament quarterfinal. Andrade El Idolo, Roosh, and Dragon Lee, his brother, going to take on the Young Bucks. And question mark, who could the question mark be, y'all?
It was reported today that it'd be the former AEW World Champion Kenny Omega.
You mean the 5-star bout machine? The best bout machine, Kenny Omega, makes his return tonight?
That's what they say.
Hopefully the crowd cheers louder than we did. Yeah, I mean it's kind of it feels too soon, or it feels anticlimactic, yeah, or it just kind of feels like, you know.
I feel like when they make these announcements, like I prefer to be surprised. Like I prefer to like, OS, they're on my screen right now, because we all do these speculations, we all do these hopes, we all do, oh, this person's been injured for a while, it's about time that they come back, but we don't know. But to make that announcement, and I think obviously the announcement is they make the announcement so we can tune in, but I mean, I don't know a wrestling fan who isn't on Twitter in some capacity. Even like I'm not on Twitter like that, but I'm on Twitter enough to see who's trending, and that will make me, click on, and if not, watch it later. So numbers are numbers, but who am I? I'm just a Canadian.
So like
America.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I think this is the unfortunate part about Tony Khan not reading the room. After all that Triple H has done in these last few weeks, mastering the art of surprise, you would think. I thought that last week's surprise with CM Punk, which was, I thought, a decent surprise, would have triggered this whole idea of let's keep the surprise factor going. Especially now that Triple H is competing and he's going for blood. But obviously that piece isn't on Tony's radar at this point. So yeah, I mean, if it is Kenny, that's pretty cool. I mean, I am interested to see what Kenny Omega, how he fits into this iteration of AEW, because it's a much different place than when he left. So I'd be interested to see that. I don't know how long we expect him to team with the Bucks. So I don't know, but I do wish it had been a surprise as well.
Yeah, but we don't know. So Nikki said it might be somebody else. So what are we gonna say?
Who would the other? Obviously, is it going to be Hangman? Because Hangman Page turned him down. And what's going on with Hangman's booking? Just side note, like what is like this guy was literally AEW World Champion like a blink of an eye ago, and now he's just doing backstage segments and hanging out with the Dark Order, who like every week they got a different amount of members, and then like Anna Jay dipped out just randomly. She was like, I'm not with you guys no more. No one even explained that, and he's not in the trios tournament. He's just kind of there. So does this end up with like Omega and the Bucks taking on the Dark Order? Is that going to be the trios final? Because obviously, unfortunately, our guys Andrade is going to lose tonight. Like, why? Because
that team is amazing in and of itself.
Yes, did y'all not see last week? Oh my God! Yeah, like that just Well, Jay White was the thought as well, but he was just wrestling like 48 hours ago in Japan, right? At Climax.
Yeah.
Put on a banger, by the way. Like
Jay White don't need this. Finale is in a few hours. So
yeah. Jay White don't need this shit. You know what I'm saying? But it's just like I don't have a sense of like wanting to see this happen as a fan. I'm like, if it is, well, Zack Sabre, really Zack Sabre Jr. Yeah.
Zach just wrestled today. He just
I was gonna say. Yeah, I thought because him and Will Ospreay, I was getting confused, but Aussie Open is in the trios tournament as well. But it's just obviously it's gonna be Omega, I believe, just because you wouldn't bring these titles on. Like these titles are meant for Omega and the Bucks. So we're gonna see how the crowd reacts to it, what develops from it. Also tonight, we're gonna see the Varsity Blondes versus the Gun Club. Ho hum. Turn the Varsity Blondes heel, please. Let them be upset. The Varsity Blondes, listen here, Tony Khan. I know you watch because of the great relationship with you and Ella J. So I know you stay packed with her with what's going on, Tony Khan. Turn the Varsity Blondes heel. No!
I mean, Ella, that was deserving. That was.
It's kayfabe.
Look,
it's kayfabe. It's the angle.
Before you finish
the angle.
Cain.
It's the exit.
I know you're not trying, Ella. However,
we're shooting.
Ella, you be shooting people with receipts. Like
that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
You kind of low.
So I'm like,
with a pretty smile, like I'm gonna hand you these receipts.
That's what I'm saying. I'm with this. That's why I like her, because I'm with the ish. That's what I'm saying. We with the ish. But I'm saying, on Tony Khan's part, turn the Varsity Blondes heel, please, and let them be 80s Saved by the Bell, Back to the Future jerks, because that will get over. Like this whole just happy to be here, we're wrestling, and now Julie is gone. So please just turn them heel and figure out what to do with the Gun Club as well. Now that they're out of the ass boys with the Acclaimed, and turn the Acclaimed face and put the titles on them. That's my AEW roundup for tonight.
All right. Well, with that being said,
it was love because I hate TK too. The other TK, not you, TK.
I was like, wait,
what? I was like, what?
Yeah, initials.
Startling development.
I would like
Yeah,
to
we're
state
gonna
for the
isolate that.
record- I'd like to state for the record that my opinions do not reflect those of
Wow.
Unfortunately, not correct. Yeah, no, it's all love. See, this is why I got no friends in the industry now. Drake was right about something with that. Speaking of Drake.
Sheesh.
Oh gosh. Well, what a interesting day. Aside from putting Ric Flair and the Sasha and Naomi in the We Not Talking About list box, there's just a lot of stuff going on, and I think, like I said, I'm probably going to say this to the end of summer, to the end of probably the year. There's just a lot of developments, a lot of stories in wrestling, and I'm really excited about it. With that being said, we are not going to keep Ella too much longer because, like I said, she is booked and busy.
I got
every
day.
Dynamite tonight.
Yes.
Where can everybody find you?
You can easiest find me on Twitter at It's Ella J, where it says it right here. If you go to the link tree in my bio, you can find all my links to all my other projects as well.
And make sure if you come at Ella, you have some receipts, because
Come with it.
she will come harder with a bigger
Come with
gun.
the crowd. Bet not miss. Bet not miss.
Right.
Bet not miss.
Just killing them. It's like, what? There's no women? Here's 5 posts.
Right.
Let you know.
Have your fill.
Gosh. And Cain McCoy, where can everybody find you?
Yes, unfortunately, you can find me at Cain McCoy, CAINMCCOY. Follow me. I'm going to be tweeting back in these streets soon. And, I didn't want to make an announcement of a social media break, but just Twitter's messy. It's just, everything's just messy.
Yeah, but
so,
how are you on Twitter? I always miss stuff.
Yeah, everything's just, I'll be twatching out here in these streets and also tweeting from my twatching
Twitter
these streets, Twitter watching, and tweeting from my burner account at Buff Bagwell.
Oh, so you're the one behind it.
I'm the surprise. Surprise, you got me.
Wow.
No! Yes,
I saw that.
Yes.
Oh wow.
Stupid.
Mr. Bonner, where can everybody find you?
You can find me at Bonnerfied across all social spaces. Some really cool news. The latest episode of Southern Honor is now on IWTV, so you can go check that out. You can sign up at independentwrestling.tv. If you use the promo code SHW, you get your first 5 days for free. So go ahead, check out our entire catalog there. Other big news, Battle Slam, the takeover premieres tomorrow night.
Yes.
Almost exactly 24 hours from right now on Fight TV. It does feature that massive main event. Little Scrappy and Baron Black. Guys, you need to see this. It is airing for free tomorrow night on Fight TV. So make sure you check it out. Definitely hit me with your comments on what you think about the show, commentary, production, all that jazz. Really looking forward to it. And some really cool things are coming with Battle Slam in the future as well. Yes.
Who's doing the commentary on that, G?
That would be Shug D and yours truly.
Yay! G money on this thing, baby. And I heard, rumor has it, a chair shot occurs. Is G taking the chair shot? Is he throwing the chair shot? You got to watch it on Fight TV to find out.
Yeah, I can't tell you anything. You just have to watch. So yeah, check out Battle Slam. Really excited about that. I'm sure there are other things going on. I just can't remember them all. But just follow us at Bonnerfied. And again, Battle Slam tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern. Really excited about this.
Nice.
And
Can't
we're
wait,
looking
dude.
into possibly doing like a watch along or something. We'll just see how the schedules go. So tune in or just follow us on social media for those updates. With that being said, definitely go and check out our website, www.talkpod.com. Check out all our social media, www.talkpod, Instagram, Twitter, like just all social media platforms. Also check out all our podcast platforms, Spotify, all that good stuff. And then I'll be doing, well, yes, we also have our after show. So Nikki will be doing the Impact after show. I don't know if that's in reference to us doing Battle Slam, but we'll get into it in the back chats. Other than that, you could follow me on everything at TK Trinidad. This Friday. So Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we do 3 p.m. Pacific time, 6 p.m. Eastern. So check all of that out. Till next Friday, guys. Ciao.
Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet.